Hello, and welcome to Life of a Boss, the podcast, hosted by entrepreneur, public speaker, and mentor, Jason Hardin. This podcast is all about helping audiences create and reach their own definition of success through positive thinking, perseverance, and personal development. Having survived extreme obstacles from an early age, such as cancer, poverty, abuse, family dysfunction, and even homelessness, Jason has learned how to master the art of resilience and defy all odds to become the boss he is today. So, get ready for some serious game and remember to keep an open mind. Now, without further delay, here is your host, Jason Hardin.
Yo, and welcome back to another wonderful episode of Life of a Boss, the podcast. I am your host, Jason Hardin, and I am extremely grateful to be here, especially today because we have an incredible guest. Man, I don't know good enough words to introduce this man, but he's definitely my mentor. I look up to him. I've known him for quite a while. He's a owner and creator of many different businesses, some of which is Beat Craze, iDeposit. He's a tech guru. All tech. You might have not heard some of the products because they're tech related and they just do their job. But it's like a program in a matrix. You know, when it's working, you don't see it. You know what I'm saying? And that's my brother here, Frank Gibbs, man. How you doing, Frank?
Good, man. I appreciate being on the show. I'm pretty excited.
Man, I'm glad you're excited because, like I said, I only invite bosses on the show, self-made bosses, people who have created and lived their own definition of success. And from my eyes, you have done that. You know, you have created and lived every day your definition of success, my definition of success. You know what I'm saying? Because I look at you and you're like such a role model, bro. And not just because of the businesses you started, but the type of person you are. You know what I'm saying? You never hesitated to reach out, to reach back. You know what I'm saying? You've always shown an interest in other people who have shown interest in something. You know what I'm saying? And it's not always easy to be that mentor, but you make it look so easy because you do it effortlessly and without request. So I first like to appreciate and thank you for that. You know, and everything else is just game for the world. Like everything else we're gonna talk about is straight, man. How to become that boss you are. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, it's not just about money. It's not just about class. It's about who you are as a person and what you're doing to better the world as a real boss should, you know? So that's why you're here, Frank, and I'm glad to have you here, bro.
I appreciate that.
Okay, so first question, tech. You're like a tech guru. You know, I think your latest venture was selling one of your companies, and an exec for that company now. Like he's the Black Steve Jobs. You know, or the first Frank Gibbs, the original colored Frank Gibbs. But serious, I applaud that because takes education, takes savvy, and my first question would be, of course you overcome challenges and whatnot, but are there any extra challenges or barriers for being black in tech?
Yes, I'd probably say yes. I mean, I could go into a couple of stories. You know, I had built some technology that I had shared with the rather large bank. I was pretty young. I didn't know all the ins and outs, didn't have the proper contracts and paperwork in place, and they ended up duplicating it, and so I kind of had to go back to ground zero and kind of figure out another plan. I wouldn't say it was necessarily being black directly, but maybe it was from being black and not knowing how to do the things that were needed at that business level. And
in your industry, in tech, you've taken it a lot of different directions. And like I said, you've done music with tech, music distribution, you've done payment processing with tech. Where can't you go with tech, or what's next for you with tech, or like what inspires you to do what you do with what you know how to do?
That's a question I've been trying to answer all my life. I tell you what, I think I was blessed because I knew at a very young age exactly what I wanted to do, and I really just followed that passion.
What was that?
Basically programming computers.
Really?
Like I think 7th grade is probably when I wrote my first program.
Oh wow! Yeah. So it's nothing that you've grown into in adulthood. It's something that you've developed since childhood. Wow.
Yeah.
What kind of program did you write, if you remember?
It was in BASIC.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was on an Atari 2600,
Oh,
the one that took cartridges. Yeah.
Yeah. The 2600. That wasn't the 5200. The 5200, you could stick your controllers in the console.
Yeah.
So man, that's incredible.
And I mean, funny that you always have to remember to give props to the people, to the people that put you on. But my cousin, Candace, she's literally the one who showed me how to write the first computer program. And ever since then, I was like, that's what I'm doing. I was probably like 7 or 8.
Wow.
Yeah. So really, I probably owe her some money if I'm being honest.
That's awesome, man. So tech has always been with you. How did you develop that interest? Did you tell anybody? Did somebody like invest in you and send you to tech camp or anything like that? How did that go?
Not necessarily. I think my parents did a pretty good job of noticing that that's where I was going. And so they did buy me that Atari 2600, bought me my first computer.
Okay.
Put me in a couple of classes. And then, from there, I think high school is so easy to get off track, so I probably got away from it during that. But then, shortly thereafter, I actually went to DeVry and
wow.
Got my degree there.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty easy from that point, if easy as possible.
Because you already had that background interest and knowledge, so DeVry just gave you the tools to flourish with it, almost like loving how to edit, and then you go to film school.
Exactly.
Loving how to produce, and then you go to Lars or something, LA recording school. So I can imagine your first business you created. What was that? Your first tech-based business, or was your first business tech-based?
Tell you what, man, it was called Downforce Web Design.
Okay, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, I was also into cars, and so Downforce is like this thing that keeps a car kind of stuck to the track when it's going real fast. So we kind of took that and put it together. Yeah, started Downforce. I thought when I started that company, I'm done. This is easy.
This is it.
Yeah, you start a company, and that was pretty much it. And no, it didn't go down like that. That was the first, and it probably wasn't until the 5th or 6th that I actually started to get some traction with something.
What did you learn from your first business? What were some of the highlights and some of the drawbacks specifically?
I think the drawbacks is not really understanding really what it means to run a business. It isn't just going down to the city and them issuing you a business license. I thought once you did that, I was opened a bank account, had all the paperwork right. And I thought that was it. But no, it's management. It's understanding people. It's understanding relationships. It's being outgoing. I wasn't a very outgoing person. I was more into technology, so didn't understand that I needed to be out talking to people,
shaking hands, meeting folks, networking,
kissing babies. I didn't do any of those things. I'm still
marketing.
Not that great at those things today.
But that's good. Now you got people to do it for you.
Yeah.
Now you pretty much get paid just to do what you're great at.
Right.
Yeah. How did you find that? How did you find what your niche was? Like I said, you could have taken, and you have taken tech so many different places. How did you get into, what made you decide on payment processing? What made that the one, I guess?
I think what drew me to payment processing was this idea of being able to make a few pennies off of a large volume of transactions.
Wow, yeah. I love that.
Hey, I can probably make that work.
And then processing is effortless. Once you write the programs and whatnot, it's all residual and passive.
Exactly.
So that's great. Okay, let's change gears. Family life. Because you're a tech guy, you know what I'm saying? You're very busy. You've created several businesses and you've had success, major success with your most recent. I can only imagine how demanding a tech exec's career could be, and not that you have to do the marketing and all that stuff anymore, but just writing programs, just being locked to your computer, just having to keep up with technology and things like that and innovate. How do you balance home life? Because, like you said, you're married with some wonderful children. You know what I'm saying? Beautiful family. And you guys take wonderful vacations. You still make great time, take great trips. I mean, Wimbledon, they follow the greatest players in the world. And very tennis-loving family. But how do you balance the two? And what does it take mentally to make both of those successful?
I think I was lucky because I met my wife when I was still kind of developing what I was going to do. I think I met her when I was 18.
Wow.
And so I think by the time I got into what it was going to take to be a professional, we had already established, kind of what our relationship was. And so she understood, and also a lot of the things I've done in my own home. Like I've done, Like I didn't go out and get the big fancy offices. I was like, hey, if I can, kind of do it in the garage. So I was there, I was around. Now, whether I was mentally present might be a whole nother conversation, but I was there, and I think that helped.
That had to be very important because, like you said, you might spend 10, 12, 15 hours a day, writing a program or stuck to your computer. But being in home, I guess that's one of the secrets, just being available. Yeah. Like it might be, you might not be there, but if they knock on the door, they can get you there. They can get you out your zone just because you're physically present. So that's helped you, I guess, become a father and a present husband.
Yeah,
you would think.
Definitely. And then I think as I've gotten older, especially the pandemic, because everyone was in the house for almost 2 years straight, I really got good at balancing it because I could just, I could go for 2 hours, come out, take a walk with my wife, do things like that. And that really helped even, foster the relationships even tighter.
What is the mentality? You tell me now you told me the technical stuff, you was in the home and things like that. What's the mentality of creating a business and creating a successful family? Like, what's the thought process? What are you focused on more? Are you focused more on the business and the family just takes care of itself because the business is successful? Or do you focus on the family and the business kind of takes care of itself because you get the support from your family and your wife and the kids and whatnot?
Like I think for me, as I've gotten older, it really became like how intricate do I really want to be with how I plan my day? And I think while that could seem sometimes robotic, I think it offers the best outcome of, everything because then you really get to have those moments where I'm really focused on this and I've gotten really good at it.
Wow. So it's about operating to capacity?
Right.
So you I guess it's the mentality of optimizing your time.
Exactly.
And by day, like, okay, I'm gonna okay. That's interesting because I'm having that conversation now with my wife, and she I love her because she's great. She's disciplined. She's a beast. You know what I'm saying? She knows how to pack value into every single moment of her day, and I'm the type of person like, man, let's relax, let's chill in between shit to do. You know what I'm saying? She's like leaves herself enough time to get to one place from to another. Like, okay, if I fit in the gym now, that'll be over at 5. Now 5:15 I can be at work. It's like, wow, and this is like almost 24 hours a day. With her, it doesn't shut off. Me, I have breaks. They're just self-proclaimed breaks. But if we're doing 2 things a day, I'm not gonna schedule anything else but a day. You know what I'm saying? She will schedule everything in between those 2 things, and I admire her for it. And is it like that? Is it like really? Because I'm looking at how she plans her day, and she is very efficient. And she gets a lot done. It's not that she neglects family because she plans in family time. They have game nights and family dinners and stuff. So it's wonderful marrying into a family where you get to see that, because I didn't have that. I didn't see that. Those weren't examples that weren't on TV, in my life. So that's the only place I saw anything like this. But is that how you do it? Do you schedule, like you say, the game times or the date nights, and then as well as you schedule like meticulous stuff, meetings and stuff? Is it like 24 hours a day you have itemized?
I'm probably not as good as planning the rest and relaxation. I kind of depend on my wife to come in there and kind of drag me out.
Okay.
If I'm being honest, but I'm really thinking backwards in terms of kind of how I'm planning my next day, my next week, my next month. It's really, what do I want to get better at, and that's how I'm structuring my time.
So it's always beginning with the end in mind.
Always.
Okay, and being a father, that's a whole other job aside from being a husband. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you really got 3 jobs going on. You're this tech guru, you're a husband, but you're also a father who's raised, wonderful children, private school, great education, very well mannered, talented, and you nurture them. How do you get all in their world while staying in Frank's world?
So I think, with the type of work that I've done for, the last 20 years or so, it altered the way that I see the world. And so I see the world as a series of problems. And
you're very technical.
Very technical.
Yeah. That's why he's a tech guru. He thinks in programs and in code. Okay.
And so the more I can describe and generalize a problem, the easier it becomes for me to identify the solution. And so, you know, the same thing exists, I think, with, or at least that's the way I see the world. That same thing exists with with the kids, is I tend to see them as, what are they really trying to say? What do they really need? And it really helps me dial in to not necessarily try to impose my agenda on the kids, but understand what their agenda is and help them get there.
That's awesome. So even being a flexible parent, you're very technical, very binary, very ones and zeros and stuff. So that's awesome, because it shows that you can be meticulous, you can be technical, you can be specific, but still come off as the loving dad. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Very human.
Absolutely.
You know, because if I had this question with maybe somebody else that said those things, I don't think I would see the cool person that I know you to be. You know what I'm saying? I would be speaking like Sheldon from Third Rock from the Sun, you know, because you speak like him. Like you guys have that same binary, you know, it's very technical, but you've learned how to apply everything technical that you do, the math problems, the equation, to everything else in life, and still be successful, and still be, like you say, not the nerd or the robot. You know, you move like one, you might think like one, but to somebody else, like, oh, he's a great guy, he's very understanding, he's all that. So that's cool. That's cool. Did it take time to develop that, to see everything in those same equations, or did you have to, you know, like really, I guess, practice that?
I think I had to evolve to it. So, you know, definitely, like, I definitely didn't become a father and on day one have this perspective. You know, like, I don't want to go off to a tangent, but I'm gonna go off into a little one. And I think what I realized with, at least, like, you know, my children and, like, you know, other kids that I saw, is that you could be telling them the right thing to do, but if it's not put in the right context or phrased correctly, it will trigger stubbornness in them.
Oh, I can imagine. And rebelliousness sometimes.
Right, and they'll do the opposite of what you're telling them to do just because you have triggered that stubbornness, you know, in them.
Yeah.
And so I really, you know, almost made it my goal to figure out that and not trigger that stubbornness, so I could literally have a conversation with them and show them the things that I'm really trying to show them. And it's been an interesting journey, and it seems like it's working.
Did that come from being so technical? Or did that come from being human? You know,
like probably a little bit of both, but probably from how I approach, you know, problems. Is I saw a problem of triggering that stubbornness and thought, well, I got to figure something else out, right?
So basically, it's like you're serious problem solver.
Exactly.
And very technical with the solution and the answer, and you apply it. Like, it's almost like Einstein's unified field theory. I mean, if it works here, it's going to work every single way, because in every single environment, industry, or whatever. And I think that's why you've been so successful in a bunch of different genres of tech, you know, and music, and I don't know what the downforce was, but in things you've done, even though you didn't find, I guess, great financial success in that, you found enough to catapult you to the next thing, to bring you here.
Yes.
And I guess it brings me to, you know, the mindset it takes to be a boss, because one thing that, like, from you, there's no excuses, you know, and I like you on the show because, like I said, talking about Black tech gurus and entrepreneurs and execs, a lot of folks who are maybe in that industry are already counting themselves out, like, nah, they're not going to hire me. Nah, they're not going to invest in me. Nah, I can't do it. Man, I'm Black. And, you know, and I've heard it, you know, and I couldn't deny some of the stories I was hearing either. So I love to show people that have overcome those barriers and still have carved out their definition of success in that industry. So I appreciate that. And are there any tips you specifically have for brothers in tech?
Yeah, you know, absolutely, and
sisters too.
You know, everybody. You know, like, I think it's understanding that there are going to be some people who aren't feeling you, and they might not feel you for whatever reason. Yeah,
it doesn't have to be Black.
Right.
You could be a woman. You could be young. You could be exactly.
Whatever. And, you know, let's get technical. Like, I could go talk to 10 people and 9 of them could not like me for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And probably after talking to the 5th, I think normal people would get discouraged and say, that's not for me.
I'm
going to just go do something else.
Wow.
But I think it's about staying persistent and saying, I'm just going to keep asking.
You know what I say all the time, like, to be successful, it's not about what you do well. It's about knowing how to take a punch.
That's right.
You know, you got to know how to take a punch. You got to know how to get back up. You got to have that thick skin. And like you're saying, success is at the end of that 10th no. You know, that 10th person you meet, not at the end of that 5th that told you no. You know what I'm saying? So exactly. It's definitely persistence and moving forward that always seems to help.
And also, I think it's how you mentally process, failure. Mm-hmm. Some people process failure as a deprecating thing.
Yeah. How do you process it?
What can I learn from it?
It
really is that.
What
simple.
did it teach you?
Yeah. Like if I can be positive and I can take from it, and maybe it wasn't my fault, but I do believe there's adjustment that everyone can make in every situation that can improve next time.
Yeah, and I think that's accountability.
Absolutely.
How important is accountability in your job and in your family?
One of the most critical parts.
Even in your job?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I think some people always think like, oh, if I can shift blame over to somebody else, then I'm not going to get in trouble. But I think at least at the executive level, if you prove you can take responsibility, you're kind of, communicating this idea where I can fix it.
Yeah, exactly. And if you learn to shift blame, you don't ever get rid of the problem. Exactly. You're just shifting the problem. Now somebody else has to deal with it, and now they have less information than you because they didn't create the problem. So I can imagine, how integrity could come out in like how it can work in tech and in business. And like I said, because for some businesses, you don't have to have integrity to make money. You don't have to be the honest person. You like a used car salesman, those sleazy used car salesman thing, and that's in a lot of industries, not just used cars. And I like what you do and how you've done it because, like I said, you're a boss because you've done everything with integrity. You've done everything with respect, and you haven't had to sell out to get it. You know what I'm saying? Not from what I've seen. You know what I'm saying? You've always done what you want to do, and it's always been your vision that you've always pushed. I've never seen you, not in a negative way, behind somebody else's vision. It's always what you want to manifest and what you want to create that you're creating, and I appreciate that. Lastly, I want to talk about mentorship. Like I said, you're my mentor, whether you know it or not. You know what I'm saying? I always look and respect and check in with you and like to keep you in the loop just because, just to keep that connection going because I understand that you appreciate being a mentor, and not that you've ever expressed that to me, but you've shown it. So that you have expressed that to me, just not verbally. And how important is that to you? Because to me, it looks extremely important to you because you don't have to care about nobody, bro. Like, to me, I think you done made it past, like, giving a fuck. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to no more, You ain't trying to get into heaven yet. You're still young, you know what I'm saying? So there's no reason, for you to connect with certain individuals. And the way you connect with certain people is just like out the blue. It's just like, hey, bro, I see what you're doing. How can I help? And what gives you that mentality, and what do you get from it?
I think, when you set out to learn something, when you set out to understand something, I think the more you can share with other people, if I'm being honest, it's somewhat validating. If you could go and figure something out and bring it to somebody else and then they can make it work, I don't think there's anything more beautiful than that.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And it's just like what we do. It's like with the clothing, and we mentor so many young kids. We have whole classrooms in here. It's field trips and give them workshops. We do one-on-one with folks and teach them how to do it from the ground up. And it takes, not being selfish. It takes taking time from your day and giving. How do you find the time to do these things? Like, to really be, because I know it's like you tell people to focus on one thing and zero in and be awesome at that. But like I said, being a great father, being a great businessman, being a great husband, being a great mentor, and doing all these things, like, how do you just make that work for you? Is it effortless, or do you actually put time every day? Like, are you on cruise control now? Like, I just know how to do everything. I done put myself on the algorithm. You know what I'm saying? I done programmed to myself, and I wake up at such time and just everything happens. Or is it still a struggle? Do you still have days where I don't want to do this, or I don't feel like this, or like me going to the gym? I go to the gym every day, but I have days where I just don't want to go. I don't feel like going. I'll still go, but I don't feel like it. Do you ever have days where you just don't feel like it, but you do all the things, the wonderful things you do, but you just don't feel like it?
Yeah, definitely. I think doubt is just part of our is like part of our makeup as a human being. And so I think like, unless you're in a bubble, like you're not watching TV, you're not listening to any outside information, I think like all of those things kind of contribute to negativity, which then will turn into doubt. Yeah, absolutely. There's days, but I'm ready for them, right? Like I go to bed at night knowing there's probably going to be some adversity tomorrow, and I'm prepared for it.
And that just gets you through the day. Yeah.
I mean,
take it on. It's just the attitude, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if I know that you're going to doubt me, it's a lot easier to prepare for that doubt.
Than knowing that you put on that pedestal, huh? If you already put me down, then I ain't got nothing to live up to. I'm gonna smash that expectation. You don't expect nothing from me.
Exactly.
So
and it's really myself, right? I'm not battling anyone but myself. Right?
That's important.
There is no other adversary in my life.
I believe that.
Yeah.
Well, man, excellent interview, Bo. Any last words of wisdom, tips to anybody who's trying to juggle being a good person with being successful, with being a good husband, with being a good brother, a father, a spouse? Because, like I said, it's hard for the average person to see everything working out for them. And when I see somebody who's everything's working out for, I definitely like to pull them aside and be like, how do you make that happen? Because for so long I've been so short in one area or the other. When business is great, like personal stuff is lacking and my health is lacking. When health is great, okay, now I'm not getting money. And so it's like juggling. It's like what one piece of advice that would help someone create that mentality, that discipline, that whatever it takes to achieve that?
It's probably just, probably how we think. Like I think it's probably, getting a better understanding of failure. Like if there's something not working, I think a lot of people just stop, and say, oh, that's probably not for me. And it's probably more like there's just something you haven't figured out that, in that area of your life. And to just, keep asking yourself the right questions. And if you haven't figured it out yet, if you're frustrated, I can guarantee you're thinking about it incorrectly.
Wow.
Like I can tell you that I actively do not participate in that emotion because I know what it means.
Yeah.
It means I'm missing some information, I'm missing data, or I'm just not looking at it right.
Yeah, and that makes you, like you say, solve the other problems. Like, what am I not seeing? It's like you get technical in solving your issues.
Right, and like, problems are typically layered, right? There isn't just one thing that's keeping us in between.
Absolutely.
You got to get through all of them.
You got to dig through it. Yeah.
Well,
I definitely appreciate your analytical way of thinking about everything, because I try to be that. You know what I'm saying? I try to look at everything like math, everything like universal. Like if it works over here, it has to work over here. And to a certain degree, it's true. But you don't know what you don't know. You know what I'm saying? You haven't experienced everything. So like me, I haven't experienced everything. So there's still things that come up that look new. And it's still really the same solutions you can apply to them. It's just like I'm in a different area, so it looks different.
Yeah. And
I always have to remember to be technical, take a step back and really figure out how do I work this problem through. Just like any math problem, you really, when you have to show your work, you can't skip steps.
That's right.
You can't just show the answer. You gotta work it through. And that's what I've learned I have to do to keep being successful. And I see that in you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thank you. This brother gives short, direct, awesome answers, man. He don't just carry this shit off nowhere, man. Whatever you ask, he gonna answer that and just shut up, man. I love Frank, man. Awesome brother, man. I thank you for having me on. Man, I feel like his show. You know what I'm saying? But thank you for being here, bro. Like I said, I appreciate everything you do in and outside of business, in and outside of your family, because like I said, you are a pillar of this community. One of them silent folks that don't nobody really get to see or hear about, because his businesses are so tucked and embedded in other programs and businesses. So, man, for you guys who don't know, man, Frank Gibbs, man, straight out of Dina, a Dina native, man, awesome guy, great brother. And since he doesn't need any customers, I don't even have to tell you what he do or what products. He don't even have no products up here, man. That's a boss, man. I love it, man. I love you, bro. Thank you for being here.
Man, thank you. Let's do another show just on trading. I feel like you and me could probably talk about trading.
Oh wow, I would love to do that. Well,
Absolutely.
First I was gonna definitely invite you back on, but now you already got a reason and a subject. Very technical. See, but awesome, bro. Would definitely love to have you back on. And man, thank you for everything you do.
Appreciate it. You're welcome.
All right, man. That was our interview with Frank Gibbs, man. I ain't gonna tell you what website to check out, man. You ain't gotta know this brother, man. Follow him on Facebook, man. If you just want to be his friend, man, send him a friend request, man. He might accept, he might not. I don't know, but
definitely will.
Awesome, man. Yeah. But anyway, man, I love all of y'all, man. Tune in every Monday and Thursday for new episodes, man. Check out lifeofaboss.net and check us out everywhere podcasts are played. Until next time, remember, success is a lifestyle. Peace.
Did anything stand out to you in today's show? If so, let us know. Your questions, comments, and concerns are important to Jason, as he is determined to always deliver to you only the most impactful information and content. Until next time, please subscribe, like, comment, share, and leave a review whenever possible. You may visit lifeofaboss.net for more episodes and great resources to help you become the absolute boss that you were meant to be. You can also follow Jason on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Hardin. Thank you. And to never forget that success is a lifestyle.